welcome to Chat Hour. Amazing you! If you're returning, thank you and welcome. And if you are stopping by for the very first time, thank you and welcome. You already know that I am so elated because I have got Alaja Nyma with me again today. Is this not so awesome? Welcome back. Happy New Year to you, Nyma.
Good to you there.
All right, it's so good to have you here. And well, let's talk about something that has been a pressing issue, something that I'd always wanted to talk about with you, because I saw this on your post and I felt, why don't you just talk about, because you're just so passionate about it and you're asking a lot of questions like why, and it was like you were even preferring some solutions. Okay, so in the past few weeks, I would say it's been from one ritual, money, news, internet fraud news to another, and it's been back to back, and it is so worrisome, I must say. And everybody has been talking in Nigeria like, why is this on the rise? It's even more than we ever knew it to be in the past. And then again, the question, because let me even give you some backstory. So there is the story of the proprietor who killed a pupil, the beautiful Hanifa, because of money. There was the story of the boys from Ogun State who killed their friend's girlfriend because of money. There was the story of the man they caught in Ondo State that they found body parts with him. There was the story of there are so many stories like that. The 3 boys from Delta State who went all the way to Benin and said they wanted to learn Yahoo. What? So many stories, and it is so saddening. It's so pathetic. I don't even know what word to use for it. Like, how did we even get here in the first place? Like, what's the root of this? Because Nyma, I remember that there was a time like that I was on Your View and we talked about a topic related to this, and I was talking about how the family is the bedrock of the society. And I feel that if everybody did their assignments, that we won't be here. We won't have people constituting nuisance to the society, won't be at where we are at this point. But some people said no, they can give some people good home training and they still go out. But I strongly believe that it has to do with the family. Nyma, what is your thoughts? Let us get to the root of this and let us see how we can prefer a solution, not just talk about it.
So just as you've said, family is the bedrock of society, but can we redefine family first? My parents used to say that your neighbor is your first family. Before that, your family that you consider by blood at home comes in the time of emergency. So your neighbor who is constantly 24/7 spending more time with you and your children, and you take the power of correction away from them. So now, because we have other factors that make us suspect neighbors, we've totally lost how society corrects itself. Society is made up of people part-time in the community they lived in. I grew up in Iba housing estate. I say it all the time. It was a block of 12 flats. Every parent was your parent. When you wake up in the morning, when you are done greeting your parents, you greet other parents till you get down. One of us is to sweep. Our own flat was it was at the top extreme. So it was our duty to sweep the entire staircase down, and we're all girls. Even to the point of cooking. On Saturdays when we cook communally. One thing cannot be wrong in the house. One person is working on it, the other person is sleeping and saying, when you are done, come and answer me. So we always worked in community. We always lived together, and so that's how we were raised together. At my wedding, I could see each and every one of them who are taking part in my upbringing. And I was not abused. So the excuse of abuse, because there's abuse, we were all girls. And I know the role that, in fact, one of my neighbor then, Dr. Patrick's, Uncle Robinson was Dr. Patrick's brother. The first time he saw me go into a flat by some students from Lasuden and come out, he thought, and the next thing, he didn't shut up. He called me. He talked to me. He called my parents and said, I saw her in a way that I suspected. I had to explain what he carried me go there and come out. And then I was sat down and told, do you know those boys bring in girls? And sometimes they might have been raped. That those girls don't. So that's not a place you should be frequenting. That's how people raise children. He was not nosy picking, or he was not gossiping when he decided to come and tell me about something he saw me doing, or he wanted to correct me about something he saw me doing. So the wrong thing is to think that, kilokon, why is he putting his mouth what does not concern him? If you're raising a child, every information is useful. So you see parents, that's for parents now starting and saying what concerns you. Then you see people, society saying, because I have been bluffed, I have been insulted, I will turn my back, I will only raise my own. So you see, you are raising your own children alone, but the children that you have failed to raise, the ones that you have ignored and said, that whatever they turn out to be is their parents' problem. Yes, they might turn out to be good because their parents are also hoping that whether you said it or not, they will turn out well.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing is that their parents who might be careless parents.
Yeah.
They really don't care what they turn out to be. Streets go train them. And then the street trains the child. He becomes a nuisance. He becomes a truant. And he's now faced to make with your child. That's your own child that you raised well. That silence that you turned will still be a problem for you. And that's how societal problems develop. That's why we're here. So I grew up with some people. In fact, I know my husband grew up with some people that I see them today. All they do, when they come to meet him, is say, hey, you're doing well. How far? Settle me. How far? You know? So it's really the education and everything, all the exposure, the better life the parents gave him. He's not really free from some of the choices that, they made. Or other parents failed to make right when he was growing up. That's why everybody's hand must be on deck.
Fantastic.
We cannot start to raise society by saying isolating families. Families make up society, and it must continue to be a pack of cards. You cannot take them out separately. We must continuously have that consciousness that the politicians that we end up with, the leaders that we end up with, is the failure of family units, separation of family from communities that led to where we are today.
Great, because I know that parenting is relative, as you have said, and it's not as business is not as it used to be.
We are Africans and we do a lot of things. I'm struggling. I have 2 children myself. I'm struggling to always remember the why. So is greeting your elder such a bad thing?
You get
is greeting
somebody
people,
has said, oh, you can't greet me.
No, let's even not call it greeting. When we call it greeting, they kind of sort of demean it. Why do I have to greet you? Courtesy.
Yeah.
Simple courtesy that you treat your child.
If I followed my
father,
to work back then, and I didn't open my mouth to say hello to people,
you're a bad reflection of him. You're a bad reflection of your parents. And my smallest child now will only greet the people that he knows when we're passing. I'm still doing it till he gets to the age when I start to beat him up for it. When we're going together, I am greeting. How are you? Good morning, ma. Hello, good afternoon. How are you? I hope you're fine. So that my child knows that it is courtesy. It's not a duty that you think you owe only your parents. It is courtesy. And when they wake up in the morning, I greet them and ask them, you are supposed to greet me back or greet me first. Still training them to the point where my first daughter knows better now. She dares not. But I'm still dealing with the second one. So the why is always the reason. When you want to reject any correction from anybody, you are not the perfect of parents. I am grateful for communal upbringing. I lived with my parents. The other time I was talking on the show, I referred to an auntie. She's not my auntie by blood. She was someone my mother had mentored in some form, even though she wasn't literate. And my mother pushed the burden of her mentoring all her daughters because she was literate to her. And we're grateful for that family unit. Till tomorrow, it's still a family unit. My husband has to see her as family. So I have benefited from that. I don't understand this Alakowe mentality where we must separate everybody. If the why is a noble one, why are you rejecting the means to it? If your child is not being abused, why are you rejecting the way to? And what exactly is abuse? Do you understand? If we're taking out physical domestic abuse, sexual abuse, correcting a child is okay if the language is not demeaning.
All right.
So I have a neighbor whose children are constantly left alone.
Okay.
And I'm constantly struggling to mind my business with my own children in my house. But I'll hear their fights, I'll hear their shouts, I'll hear all sorts of things. So sometimes out of my way, and it's not minding my business. Because if you do mind your business, a lot of things will happen. So the first thing I said to my daughter, I don't like your mixing here because I see a problem. And so stop mixing until I say it's okay. And so when she listened, I moved on to the children because I can't just leave the children with the problem I have foreseen.
Yeah.
I called the mother I discussed it with her. I saw that she did not have an idea of how to go about it. I said, I have asked your child to constantly see me instead of, because I saw that one of them was breeding anger. He's always angry.
For anger management.
I've told him whenever he's feeling this way, he needs someone to talk to. I'm here for him. And I think you should start to be available to talk to him. This, I'll break things, I'll punch things, is not a way to express anger, so that we don't breed something else when he grows up. She didn't appreciate it because recently she was talking about, you know, and she doesn't mind, she meddles and all of that. But that's not going to stop me. That's not the way I see it. So I'm going to take a few steps back. When I see the problem again, I will call on another adult and say, you then. Till tomorrow when I want to talk to my friends, I look at, because of the way I grew up, I look at the closest friend to that person and say, sometimes you want to communicate some things with somebody, but just the mere fact that it's you saying it might upset them. If a common friend is wise, is that common friend you talk to, who doesn't have to then put your name and say, but this thing, I share, you know, opinion with people around that this thing that you're doing is wrong. Don't you think you should stop it? We women, we do those things. When we see our friends keeping certain friendship, we don't say anything. When it becomes an issue in their marriages, say, I only ran only. You as a friend, you were close to her. Did you ever tell that friend, you know, that this is wrong when you heard the words around? So that's the right thing to do when you're raising children. No, my mom, she had 4 girls, only 1 boy, and so you know that constantly reports were coming from left and right. There was a day I came into the house, I was properly beaten. They just asked me, were you at GRA today? I said yes. Did you go so place? Yes. Truly, because I had said to my parents I was going to my friend's house. How me and my friend ended up at Jerry, another business entirely. The person we went to see there, another business entirely. Whether I was covering for my friend or not does not concern my mother. If it is my boyfriend, truly, it doesn't concern. Oh Lord, did I permit you? And I was properly beaten. It was feedback from someone.
All right, now let's talk about society, because Noble Eagle posted something and he had said that you know that there are so many things to be blamed. He talked about how people go to the clubs, and clubs are not even selling certain small drinks. They are selling bottles and all that, and when people order for these bottles, they celebrate them, they do doreme and all that, and you know, they are popping champagne and all of these things. People want to do it because to these guys, they just want to drive Benz, they just want to have iPhones, they just want to have some things, because you would wonder what will a 17-year-old boy be looking for? A 14-year-old, what are they looking for? What do they know already about money? That they're going to do rituals, they are going to learn Yahoo and all that. And he talked about celebrities. You know, somebody has acted in 2 movies or has done 2 skits, and then the person posts a house months after and says, new house.
It's not gonna be good.
You know? And people are wondering, they are applauding them, these are the role models. And then you know, churches are collecting tithes, they are collecting offerings, as long as you bring the money, you know, and all that. I believe in God, I'm a Christian, do you understand? So it's not as if I'm even trying to, but then families too, children are bringing money, you're not asking them what the source is, you know, and then you're just celebrating people overnight. They just had this money overnight, and then you're celebrating them. You're not asking questions. Your child goes to school and you find somebody's pencil in their bag. You're not even asking them questions, where they got the pencils from, where they, you know, and all that. So look at the whole family, look at the whole society, look at where we are at the moment, look at what is happening.
There are several things here. One is that we've decided to dishonor simple things, simple life, simple beginning. And we've lost patience with the process. You hear people, I cannot come and go and die. The questions that you should be asking, ask yourself first. If your child brings home a phone, are you a parent who would ask yourself, am I normal allowing this child bring home a phone without knowing how? Would I start myself and use a phone and say, I really don't care, I cannot come and go and kill myself, with a phone that I know it comes in questionable ways? In my place, there's a custom of they say you want to kill your child if you prostitute to feed that child. In my own place, and so it means that the clean work your hand does is halal, that you feed your child. You only feed your child purity to grow that child well. Because really, when growing up, when I used to hear it, I used to believe that the child would die physically. But now, looking at what is happening in society, the child is dead, but the body is there. The child is dead to real life, dead to empathy, dead to consciousness, transparency, honesty. All the values will leave. So you don't use haram to come and raise a halal. If you want purity, you do purity. If you want equity, you come to equity with clean hands. So parents, all of the people who will not eat it from their own children, but would rather, I know someone who would say to her neighbor's children, collect money from that guy hand now, there's nothing there now. It's not just to sleep with you.
But she wouldn't do that to her own children. She wouldn't allow her own children.
So she will now wish that her children turns well, and she will be the one with the stories of the other child, so that even if the girl now finally wants to change, she'll say, I know your story. She will blackmail them. I know someone who raised children that way. Protecting your own mentality. We need to take it out. So that's how we turn back. Simple things like Noble Igwe says, going to a club and buying a glass, which you can afford. At least if you say, I just want to spoil myself, and you take this very expensive wine that you cannot afford the bottle of in a glass, and you have hired yourself, you have done yourself well, and go out. That will say they didn't make sales. So they will now promote sales, and everybody will kill their mother to come and enjoy life.
You get
the vanity of it is that in a long run, to what end? You're sitting down, the people you want to be with, you've already spoiled things. Some people will now think, no, I didn't kill my mother, I can go and kill a poor innocent girlfriend of my friend and roast her head to get money. That's why we have the case of the 4 boys in Abeokuta,
yeah,
who think if once it's another person, it's not my person, it will come around. To society, it always comes around. We must start to make laws that our culture, or we even have to start the culture of honoring labor, bringing dignity back to human lives, and so we'll take out these excuses of money. Every time a person is at crime,
in labor,
let there be dignity in labor and human life. Let a person who lives in one room be honored. Let that person enjoy his honor as a human being. Let the person have dignity to feed. Let the person not have to queue up, wait and let the person be
content too by themselves.
The person will learn to be content if there's dignity there. If I have to wait until governor is sharing rice before I can eat, there's no dignity. But if I earn 20,000 and I can buy rice and cook for my children, if I am then not content, I am a problem to society. But when society itself creates a problem is that first you take away the power to feed, you turn the power to feed to generosity on your part as a leader, and then you come around and ask the person that the person wasn't content. Content in what? In nothing. It's a give and take situation. In Islam, the crime in Islamic nations now, where their system is Islamic, the crime for stealing is cutting off the hand. People think you just pick up a person and cuts off the hand. No, a hungry person who is caught stealing what he needs to feed on cannot be given that same punishment. That's the system. I studied Islamic law. You don't just pick a person who is hungry, like a mother. I saw the case of a woman beaten up in the market for stealing food. In Islamic nations, that person is then taken into a welfare system where they provide food, so that kind of mentality that I'm hungry, anything to feed will never be a situation again. So return dignity to your people. We need that. We need that mentality. Then we need to start a culture amongst families, amongst ourselves, where people are honored in their small ways and small things. If you are selling pepper, you're alata. Why is it an insult? Why does someone have to say alata last? Why do you have to demean that person? So that person is now desperate, looking for ways, and then becomes a problem to you, who think you have arrived. In every small occupation that they have,
we should respect
put dignity back in those small occupations, and don't make people beg for their rights. Why should children have to beg? Why do parents have to rush to find money by force because they must send their children to private schools? Upgrade and make our public schools good to go. Make them standard. Bring them up to standard. Let every child that goes there have the opportunity in life to be something good. And little by little, you take away this mentality. When there's dignity in human life, people will not do certain things. A lot of vices they will not take part of. People would rather, no. I don't have much, but I'm not hungry. So people will be able to say no to evil. people will be able to turn away. So that's going back to society again.
Yes.
Now leadership,
yeah.
restoring people's dignity and getting us out of this mentality. If
some solutions right there.
Yes, if a person can afford to feed in a small way and is feeding in a small way, why do you come and call it poor food? When you're not the one providing the food, when you're not the one, even if you have the duty to provide that food, doing that right thing.
So can we say that we are all guilty of this?
Yes, including myself.
Everybody.
Because at some point in my life or at some point in yours, you would have turned your back. I am always saying, I'm always grateful. If the people around me when I was growing up turned their back, there'd be a problem. The me yet 99, 2000, there would have been a major problem. But because those nosy packers did their work, recently, 2 or 3 years ago, I was driving home. I saw a woman, I wanted to buy water from her, and she said, she spoke my language and said, how's your mom? I said, mommy, well done, ma. I didn't know who she was. She said, okay, when your mom calls, tell her mommy Vic. So when I just drove past, I parked, I called, I said, this woman looks very familiar. Mommy, do you know any mommy Vic? She said, that woman, God bless that woman. She was the one that told me that she used to see you in Block C working with those your friends that you later said were your classmates. I said, yes, I escorted my friends home. She said, she's the one that told me, she's the one that saved my life. I was like, and I greeted her warmly. And subsequently, even this December, anytime I passed, I stopped every single day to greet that woman if I passed by her. Because as far as I'm concerned, something was averted that day because she didn't mind her business. Because my mother knew what to do with the information. The problem is you receiving the information and thinking they're gossiping your daughter to you. Somebody seeing your daughter is somebody keeping trace. What if I got lost? That woman will be able to say, no, I saw her. She'll pass here. She entered this place. And so she can assist in investigation. Why do we always see these things in the negative? Why do you always think that a civil servant who spent his 30 years in civil service and goes home to his ancestral home and minds his business in his own room till he dies did not live honorably?
Because you see, I always even talk about when it comes to leadership, when it comes to, look at where the state of the nation and all that. People saying that, somebody is too old to rule. We need young people. And I always say that it is about the individual. It is about mindset at the end of the day. It is about the values that you bring to the table. What are the values that you have already? Because sometimes you have conversations with young people and you are shocked. You are sad. Like, why are they thinking this way? Because they just want to get there and say, let me to take out of the national cake and all that, and we've heard. I mean, these are the young ones, and it's just so sad where we are at the moment. And you have said, okay, let's go back to the family, let's go back to the society, let's go back to this and all that. So now bringing it to, because look at internet fraud. Some people don't even think that it is bad. Somebody still posted on a blog yesterday, or still posted on their platform yesterday, and said that, look at what my girlfriend does. And the girlfriend was busy cha-ching, according to them. Like the lingo they use. They were actually defrauding people on the internet. They don't know. Somebody said that I saw this on Twitter. So somebody said that there was this family that they came to him and they were like looking for a job. He had finished from school and all that, and he said, okay, we'll put his ears to the ground. If he hears anything, he will let them know. And he ran into the mother like some months after and was like, how are you, ma? So how is this your child? The woman said, we thank God, at least what's Yahoo. Did you hear that? So the woman does not even know any better. And she was thanking God that the child now does Yahoo. And that is defrauding people. That is internet fraud.
So we now excuse, is it for the hunger? Well, like you said earlier, it's about values. I'm grateful for the values that I have. I'm not perfect. I'm still trying to, to perfect the values I was raised up with. But my mother would beat me blue black. In fact, my elder sister suffered this for bringing home a gift, cash gift, from a boss in suspicious circumstances. My mother kept asking, why this person give you words of note for weekend? Which work you do for him? And so that weekend was tough in my house. But that lesson, I don't think my sister that was the victim was the one learning. It was me who was watching the 12 night that year in your life. Don't try it to now die. You understand? Question what you put in your mouth. When you use that mouth to bless your child, the child will be truly blessed. You see, the mother doesn't know that the child has earned a curse from the person that they have defrauded. And the curse might it might survive generations through that child. The mother is concerned with her immediate belle, thinking, I call them belle worry, belle wire people. You're considerate about what you want to eat and what you want to show off to your friends.
Especially maybe with the fact that
wealth.
Your child does not own a laundromat and is constantly bringing in clothes. The
truth is, the mother herself, you want to show off, you just don't want to be caught at it. If your child is good at it, no problem.
Somebody told me that there was a friend he had in school in Unilag, and the friend was not even done with school, and they were into internet fraud. And so he went somewhere and saw one vehicle he bought, and he was looking around for his friend, like, where is he? He was shocked to see that it was the mother who drove the car down there. He took away the rugs they had and tiled the whole house. It was not working yet, and they did not ask him where he got the money.
I have a younger brother that works for an international tech company. He's a family friend of mine. And till date, what he earns is enough to flaunt, but the parents will not allow it. They're content with their basic comfort. Invest your money.
Nyma, how
some people who have their children working in Yahoo, they know it's not an international tech company. He doesn't bring home a payslip. He doesn't show you how this money hit his account. He doesn't say to you exactly what he does, but you'd rather that you have the account balance and you can show off. You're loud talking. Success in life is not how many times you boast about it. It is success that is traceable, something that has a laudable source. In society, we must learn to celebrate the woman that found money in the airport after that first month. We've forgotten about her. She's not the one on the Naira notes. So we have the big thieves who have used money to launder images on the Naira notes. We have someone saying to us that, a senator saying in this country that, when I was poor, did you ask me how I made my money and bought all these cars? Now that I have cars, you're asking me, and you're a sitting senator in this country, and the government agencies cannot trace. It is society that makes it difficult, because we have a culture of accepting the wealthy, no matter how they are, and rejecting the poor. You must be able to relate both ways. You must be able to relate both ways. You must be able to find people in their small areas of impact and celebrate them and blow it out of proportion and loud it as loud as possible, so that people will find dignity in doing whatever and content in wherever their spaces are and make impact in those spaces.
So how do we begin to tell people that people who do their work legitimately, who work without stealing from other people, too, are making it in life and they become big? Because people feel that once you don't steal, you're just going to be there. You can't rise, you can't be rich, you can't be wealthy. There are people who are doing legitimate work and they're very wealthy. How do we begin to bring that to people? And what is wealth? Wealth? They are rich.
There's a big difference in what wealth is.
Yeah.
And what riches
are. That's true.
Wealth is in the mind.
That's right.
So is poverty. Sometimes wealth is a situation, you're born into it. You can't explain it. It just happens that your destiny has been faithful, has been favorable. Poverty is also a situation, you were born into it. You did nothing wrong, you just happen to be there. It's a situation that if you work hard at, you can get out of. You don't have to steal your way out of. But wealth in the mind is that you're content in what you can afford, you can control, so that you don't have a burden of what you have to pay, of life that you have to pay. You're not running and trying to keep up with anybody's standards. I have small things presently. I have big dreams that I want to achieve. I want a big house, I want all of that. But if I don't get it in the right way, without touching, harming, destroying another person, I don't want it. I don't want to have wealth that when I sleep, because I'm one who works with my conscience a lot, I lose sleep. I want peace. In anything that I have, I want peace. We should start to teach people that having things that are pure and having peace of mind is wealth in itself. I know someone who lived all their life in one room. It's exposure that even made them expand that room to but they had dignity. They will go out and come back. They will be happy with everybody around them. They lacked envy in their heart. They loved people.
They had dignity. They had integrity.
They had integrity.
Interesting.
The family I would sit with, and I would not be afraid of being my mind being polluted.
Interesting.
And so small things like that, start to celebrate it. We should bring it back, because you see this world that we are all pursuing, nobody will carry and go heaven.
Oh wow.
In fact, most of this Yahoo, someone was saying to me that most of this Yahoo boy, he has not seen one that live beyond 40.
They don't live long. Especially, you know, because there is the Yahoo Plus, as I heard. So they're doing jazz and all that.
So you bring in evil spirits
Yeah.
around you just for money, really? What? To what
Yeah.
end? To what end? The purpose of life, is that what it is about?
So what would be your conclusion?
My conclusion is bring dignity back and let people learn to be content.
And we must all get to work.
We must all get to work. This problem that we have now, is beyond this talk that we are talking.
Because it was back to back.
See, the few that made it to the news is what we are talking about.
Imagine. How about the ones that we don't even know?
The millions that did not make it to the news, the ones that have escaped, the ones that the police officer know that this source of this person is not normal but settle boys. They know that rather than investigate such a corruption or criminality and stem it in the bud, they would rather take money and say, let me worry about my stomach first and my survival first. So if that police officer has dignity in his work, if he can afford basic health, if he can afford, even not beyond basic health, housing, if he has dignity as a police officer, he's entitled to housing, he's entitled to this car, he's entitled to his promotion steadily without knowing somebody to know somebody to know somebody. He will investigate a crime and stem it.
Interesting.
Society has more work. We must bring dignity back to human lives in every capacity. The tailor must have dignity in our work. The police officer must have dignity in their work. The doctor must have dignity in their work. They must not be looking for ways to get out of this country as if this is a hell place to be.
Wow.
People must be able to have that dignity, and you will see contentment follow.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It
It is always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you. Beauty with brains, right? All right, thank you so much, guys, for watching. What exactly do you think about this video? Please let's have your thoughts down there in the comment section. If you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And do not forget, if you consider this video a good one, kindly give us a big thumbs up. Thank you. Till we come your way again, or I come your way again, let's the conversation continue.